Hi class, how are you? This is Miss Sipe. I am now really ending this book. The last chapter is a little long, 23 minutes long. Here goes the ending of our story. So take a listen, relax, get comfortable, and here it goes. Well, at least I would have done something to make you happy, Grandpa blistered back. He put his hand on the arm of the couch, as if his legs were going to give out. He crumpled onto it, and in that moment, Dad suddenly shattered. He took a seat next to Grandpa. He looked at his wife, and all the anger draining from his face. He looked to Jeannie and Ernie, hurt, embarrassed. Then he reached over, slowly taking Grandpa's hand. Grandpa didn't resist. Dad dropped his chin for just a few seconds. Then he lifted his face and quickly whisked tears away from his cheeks. The rain poured. Then Grandma, who was staring directly at Ma, cleared her throat to get attention, nodding toward the stairs. Ma nodded back. Boys, why don't you go back upstairs and finish packing? Leave Grandpa and your dad here to talk. That seemed like a good idea to Jeannie because things were getting weird again. Grandma followed them up this time. Ma started cramming shirt after shirt into the suitcase, telling the boys to make sure they had everything. Jeannie, his notebook. Ernie, his cell phone. And as she went about to see how she couldn't understand why it seemed like her sons had more stuff leaving than they had coming, Grandma came over to the dresser and shooed her away. You've been driving half the night, and these boys know a thing or two about work now. They got this. And that's when she noticed the truck. Wait a minute, Grandma said, picking it up, her eyes watering as she flipped it over. Who? How? Jeannie smiled hopefully. I fixed it. A tear fell from Grandma's eye as she looked back and forth from Jeannie to the truck. She set it back in its place in front of the flag and medals and bottle with Ernie's chipped tooth and, yes, the piece of broken wheel. She stepped back and looked at it, gazing at it as if she were remembering Wood playing with it when he was younger. Then she picked it back up, nodding her head. Take it, she said, pushing it into Jeannie's hands and wrapping her fingers around it. You serious? Jeannie asked. Baby, we all got to learn to let things go sometimes, so it's yours. She kissed him on the forehead. Plus, I don't think Uncle Wood would mind if you added this one to your collection. As a matter of fact, Grandma grinned wide. I think he'd be honored. Jeannie lit up. Thanks, Grandma. And what are we going to do with this, Big Ernie? Grandma wiped the tears from her eyes, and then she held up the beer bottle with a chipped tooth in it. Oh, my, Mom gasped. Ernie, is that yours? Yup, this guy Crab, I know who Crab is. Oh, well, yeah, he saved it from me. And then we went to the doctor, and she said, uh-oh. She wagged a finger. I don't want to know. Grandma passed the bottle to Ma. She held it up to the light like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Just looking at it gives me the willies, Ma said at last. So you taking this back to Brooklyn with you? Show it to all your friends, you tough guy? Nah, Ernie said. He turned to Grandma. You and Grandpop can keep this as a good luck charm. Oh, what? Mom looked even more horrified. Grandma, on the other hand, gushed. Aw, thank you, Ernie. Ma looked at them like they were all crazy, then said that they had to get a move on it because Dad wanted to avoid Richmond rush hour. So they doubled down on the packing, and Grandma called through the floor to make sure it was okay to come down. Is there still a fire in the hole? She yelled. No, Ma, it's fine, Dad called back. On the way downstairs, Grandma hid Ernie and Jeannie and the mother with everything she had to get them to stay the night. Just stay for dinner then, she persisted. You shouldn't go on the road hungry. These are growing boys. I know, Mama Harris. We'll stop on the way, though. But it's getting late, and you all don't want to rest your heads just for a few hours. Avoid that traffic? Can't. I mean, we'd love to, but it's just... The pause was awkward as Ma tried to find the right words, but Grandma seemed to understand. She nodded warmly. Ma exhaled and continued. I slept the whole way down, so I can take over if he gets tired. And on, while Jeannie clunked the heavy suitcase down the shaky steps, going down them for the last time. And even though he knew in a few seconds he'd be about 17 steps to freedom, there was no way he could leave without someone talking to Grandpop. In the living room, Grandpop and Dad were sitting side by side. They were drinking sweet tea and listening to the radio. Grandpop's box of money, the rainy day stash, in Dad's lap. Ma hugged Dad's neck, and Grandma did the same to Grandpop. Everybody loved Pete and Repeat, even the old people. Time to go, Dad said, clapping his hands together, standing up, the box in hand. What's that? Ma asked. Dad smiled. Gas money. Enough to get you there and back, Grandpop dimpled, rocking a little, and Ma, glass-eyed, grabbed his hand to help him get to his feet. All right, I know you got to get these knuckleheads back to the concrete jungle. Wait, Jeannie said, handing the suitcase to Ernie. Grandpop, we didn't get to finish what we were talking about. I mean, I still just need to tell you something. Dad looked at Jeannie, curious, concerned. Son, we really got to get going. You can call him when we get home. Ernest, just give me a second, Grandpop said. It's still raining a little. Plus, I know Ernie has someone he'd like to say goodbye to. Dad and Ma looked at Ernie, who gnawed the side of his jaw, trying to hide his embarrassment, but it was true. Dad sighed and nodded at him. Ernie immediately broke for the door, heading, Jeannie knew, straight to Tessa's, while Grandpop, sensing Jeannie's need for privacy, asked, "Our room?" In the inside-outside room, Jeannie and Grandpop took their usual seats. Jeannie took one last look at the bird cages, one without a bird. His heart started jumping around and he couldn't get his right leg to stop tapping. He took a deep breath. Grandpop, Michael Jackson is dead. Yeah, he died a few years back. Something crazy about a doctor who had too many meds. Grandpop shook his head. It's just that, no, I mean Michael Jackson, the bird, Jeannie clarified, then decided to really get on it. One of your birds in this room, one of them is dead. He's gone. We were out of flies and I didn't know what to do because I had already fed the others, so I just gave him the smallest one of a few apple seeds to hold until Crab bought more flies. And it killed him. I killed him. Grandpop drew a long breath and seemed to last forever, and then he simply said, "I know." Huh? Jeannie thought he had heard wrong. I said I know. Grandpop knew? How long had he known? What in Sam hell's going on? But, was all Jeannie could manage. Because of those, son, tapped on his earlobes. I heard a change in the room a long time ago. It was as if there were 5 people talking at the same time. And then suddenly one stopped talking. Everything changed. I knew right away that something had happened. But I had been waiting for you to come clean, to speak up. But you never did, until now. Grandpa put his hands together, squeezed and massaged his fingers. What took so long? I've been trying to fix it, Jeannie said, now staring down at his beat-up Converses. But I just couldn't. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for killing Michael Jackson and lying about it. I'm sorry for stealing his dead body from the birdcage because it was light outside and for putting it on a shovel and flinging it in the woods. I'm so sorry for setting a trap and trying to catch another barn swallow to sneak into the house and put it back in the cage. And I'm sorry for even thinking about calling the new stolen one Michael Jackson too. But then I would have been sorry to the new Michael Jackson for catching and sending him in a trap. So I guess I'm not sorry for that part. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The truth practically vomited out of him. All of it. The whole thing. Grandpop looked stunned. Jeannie worried his apology wouldn't be enough, even though he was already starting to feel a little bit better. But after a few seconds, Grandpop smiled. It was a slight smile, but it was enough. Enough to let Jeannie know he was okay. Anything else? Well, actually, I do one more question. I do have one more. Your last question. Grandpop stood and reached his hand out to Jeannie. My last question. Jeannie grabbed Grandpop's hand, standing. Would you ever let the rest of the Jacksons go? Grandpop went back over to the door, sighed, and yanked it open. He looked and looked at Jeannie again, and he had a smirky smile still on his face. Maybe. And as Jeannie left the inside-outside room, he stepped on something. He looked down to see what it was. A small, jagged piece of plastic, black and with a bit of silver in the middle. And that is the end of our book, As Brave as You. What do you think that little piece was that he just stepped on? Black, round and cracked with a little piece of silver in the middle. Go back into Schoology after you hear, and you're going to do some writing and reflecting after the story. You guys, I love this book. I hope that you read more of his books. Jason Reynolds, I've told you all his story about how he really didn't like reading and didn't get into it till he was like later in high school, and that his friends kind of kept encouraging him to really share his story. So I think it's just so great that you're listening. I appreciate it. I miss everyone so much. Please listen, and please write your reflection in Schoology and check out this author, you guys, when you need something else to read. I'll see you soon. Bye.